Welcome to another edition of the Sports Report. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. Once again, it is the Barnes and Tony Show. Anthony, how are you, my friends?
Oh, dude, doing great, man. Better than the people over there in Scottsdale, that is for sure, man.
Frost delay at
so
the Waste
crazy,
Management
dude.
Phoenix Open should be getting underway in about a half hour. So if we do have an update to give you before the buzzer, we will. Coming in hot. But there is so much to talk about today, and it's crazy. All this basketball talk. Let's just go to the world of the National Basketball Association.
The Bulls go! LeBron James at the buzzer! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
All right. So some trades yesterday in the association, but we do have to start, even though, obviously the Lakers one concerns me. We got to start with the big one overnight. Kevin Durant leaving Brooklyn and going to the desert. So the Phoenix Suns acquiring KD, teaming up obviously with Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and the Suns, as they look to return to the NBA Finals after a couple-year hiatus. So going back to Brooklyn, Mikal Bridges, who's having a breakout year, averaging 17 and 7. Cam Johnson, a guy, with a lot of potential, has been hurt this season. And Jay Crowder, who's actually sat out all season in the hopes of getting a new contract. And there's rumors that Brooklyn might be looking to flip him, as well as 4 unprotected future first-round picks, 23, 25, 27, and 29, as well as a 2028 pick swap. So, you look at that, and I don't know. I know it's a lot of draft picks, and I mentioned that Bridges is having a good season. He's young. And then, Cam Johnson, same thing. But I don't know. I guess when you trade, and maybe the hope is that Mikal Bridges, develops into that guy, but he is 26. He's not 22. So it's like you wonder, this year, is this his ceiling? 17.2 points per game, shooting 38% from 3. So I'm sure, they'll appreciate his all-around game, his shooting. I kind of think we need to be bold, but I don't know if it's bold enough, Tony. When I look at this, I don't know if it's bold. And I know they're building for the future, but with him being 26, I think there's kind of a certain shelf life. Obviously, you think about the draft picks. I mean, everyone's saying, oh, well, those aren't going to be any good because the Suns should be good. I mean, Durant will have 3 years left on his deal. So you think about that, takes you through, the 24, the 25, 26 season, but you still have 27, 29. Maybe by that point, they're not going to be good. Obviously, Devin Booker should still be there, but you just can't predict the future. So I think having those draft picks gives you some level of comfort for a team that traded away a bunch of them in the James Harden deal. Seemingly getting fleeced, getting Ben Simmons, who can't make a shot or get on the court. So it's kind of interesting that they make this move. I thought they would try to just ride it out the rest of the season, but I think it was one of those things where they said, listen, we want to, fill up the cupboard with some draft picks, and what a better way to do it, to have 4, a pick swap, and then have 2 guys that should start in Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, as well as, a veteran and Jay Crowder that you think you could get, I don't know, maybe a second-round pick or heavily protected first. But I've always liked Cam Johnson. He's actually 26 as well. A lot of length at 6'8". He's averaging 13.9 points per game. Has missed time this year. Just actually came back the other day, but has only played 17 games this season. So overall, Tony, I mean, what do you think? I don't think it was like they had to trade Durant. They wanted to capitalize on the value.
Yeah.
Of course, they set up somewhat of a super team with the Suns. They're only a few games over 500. Chris Paul, been injured. Same thing with Booker and Paul at 37, maybe a step slower. But overall, I mean, what's your impressions here? Did the Nets make the right move here in trading KD before the deadline today?
Yeah, I think so, dude. I mean, when you really think about it, whether it was going to be, he was going to get traded, whether it was going to be now or in the offseason, I feel he requested a trade, right? For the second
This
time.
offseason.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think they were smart to deal him now because there's really no reason for him to stay in Brooklyn. And it's just at this point, the whole experiment with KD and Harden and Kyrie is obviously over. It's been over for a little while now. They, did not win a championship. It was interesting to kind of see, KD kind of go off on his own, from Golden State. Like, hey, I can be like, one of the best players in the league and lead a team to a championship. It was a flyer taken by the Nets. That's fine decision by them. But I think, at this point it is over. Good job by trading him now and getting the right pieces. And of course, obviously, there's always going to be a market for a player like KD, regardless of how he kind of gelled with the rest of his team over there in Brooklyn. But it was just, I mean, especially at this point with all the drama and how much like control that KD would have with the Nets, I think it was kind of good for him to trade him now, get some pieces, get some draft capital, kind of retool your team because the Nets at this point are just, I mean, they're kind of a broken team. I think good for the Suns for kind of, I guess trading for him. I mean, when you think about it, the Suns, they've never won a championship, right?
I don't believe so because Barkley never got one. They lost
right.
in the finals a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and like even that run, you mentioned injuries. I think Chris Paul was injured during that run. Devin Booker's always been out for a considerable time, I think, this season too. So it should be interesting to see how or who gets injured and when and really how deep into this season or the playoffs they can go. But obviously, given player like KD in your team, I mean, he's obviously gonna heighten the level, the production the team's gonna have, the pieces around him. I think, Chris Paul, a veteran player, is gonna work well with Durant. And I'm honestly kind of excited for the Suns. I mean, yeah, they gave up a lot of draft capital, a lot of what their future could look like. But I think, the Phoenix Suns are another team who came so close to a championship. They know that, unfortunately came up short. And a team that's never won before, I mean, I would imagine their fan base is getting kind of angsty as well. And to bring KD in, I think will be good. I mean, we've seen KD. I think, he's someone who, of course, cares about his legacy a lot. Cares about, I think, his image within the NBA. Wants to be, someone whose name is up there with with LeBron, with Curry, with Jordan. I mean, and it's possible that he could. So I think, he's going to do pretty well for Phoenix. I think he's going to look to win here. So,
and the thing is, he hasn't played in a month, hasn't played, about a full season in 4 or 5 years. Expected to return from injury soon. So I think that's the biggest thing here with 3 years left on the deal, with already being 34. Obviously for this to work, he's got to stay healthy. And, it's like, I don't know, what it is, if it's a different training regimen or what he needs to do, but he's got to figure out a way to stay healthy. Maybe kind of play a step slower and really be a spot up shooter. Because injuries have been a big problem. He's played 39 games this season. So it'll be interesting to see if he's healthy for the stretch run. Chris Paul is averaging a career low, like 13 points a game. So if he kind of gets his play going again, Devin Booker has only played 30 games this season. And then, you also have DeAndre Ayton, former #1 overall pick. So there's a lot of guys here. Booker just returned the other night, actually. So he just coming back from injury. So as long as it's a lot of ifs, Tony, but I think definitely the potential is there, to make a run this year. And this is for a team that's only, 4 games over 500 and, has struggled. But I think the injury is a big reason for that. Devin Booker's only 26. So, he's not going anywhere. So I think this is the type of trade, if you're a fan of the team, you love it because the front office, the organization, they're just going for it. They were so close a couple of years ago, and now you're really putting your best foot forward. And I think DeAndre Ayton is a guy that gets lost, here. So only 24 this year, averaging 18.4 points per game, 10.3 rebounds. So you think about him and Durant on the block down low, and then Chris Paul and Booker on the wings. That's pretty scary. So I think, I really do expect them to shoot up the ladder here. And it's just going to be interesting to see, do they finally get a healthy Kevin Durant? The one thing that just concerns me, and I feel like no matter what sport we're talking about here, Tony, it's just kind of a pattern. Guys mid-30s, healthy most of their career, couple seasons in a row injuries, and then it seems like they never have that consistent run ever again.
Yeah, I know. I mean, do you think it's just the players? Like, what do you think that is?
I guess it's just the body breaking down, and the top players, of course, they're exerting maximum effort. And I
Right.
think Durant, while he was always a great shooter, always dunking, D'ing up, so
Yeah.
relying a lot on defense. And then also, I mean, once you have an Achilles injury, think about that. Think about
Yeah.
all the sports, Achilles injuries, success rate coming back. So I mean, let's just say he struggles with injuries again and blows out an Achilles. I mean, all of a sudden, then the Suns are, kind of really screwed here.
Yeah.
So a lot is hinging on the health of KD. And actually, I just noticed too, former Sonny was actually drafted by the team. TJ Warren, who actually played at NC State, Chokery's alma mater, was actually sent back in this deal. He's a guy that's missed time a lot the last couple of years, but could help. So it'll be interesting to see how the roles are carved out here, and also what Brooklyn does. Cam Thomas has been unbelievable. He's had like 40 points in 3 out of his last 5 games. The former first-round pick out of LSU, so they look to build around him. Do they flip Dinwiddie? Do they flip Jay Crowder? We'll find out, the trade line being today later on. But that was a big bombshell overnight. Now, before we get to the other trade here, Tony, push comes to shove, do you see a NBA final in the Phoenix Suns future?
Final, and I say championship as well, dude.
Just all the way.
Yeah, I think so.
Does it help rehab Durant's image, or does it further kind of almost question it? Because here he goes again, teaming up with a bunch of guys. Can't do it himself. What type of narrative do you think we get here?
I mean, I don't think so. I mean, look, obviously the Suns are going to be nothing like the Golden State team that Durant was a part of. And even so, I mean, I think it's going to more talk about the relationship that he had with Harden and Kyrie and the Nets in general, not just him as an individual. Because when you really look at it, I mean, yeah, Devin Booker is a phenomenal player. But I mean, Chris Paul, I mean, I don't know, that resurgent year where they made a push for the finals, like, that was like him. I mean, how old is
37?
30, yeah, right. He's almost 40 years old. I mean, and I feel like leading up to that season, he wasn't really doing great.
No. He was kind of like a Russell Westbrook territory.
So
almost.
It's not like that Durant's like, oh my God, like this is like a super team. Like, oh my God. Like, yeah, he has some pieces around it, but it's not like what he was on Golden State, So I don't think so.
And right now, Phoenix 30-26, 8.5 games out of first and 4 games back at second. So obviously anything can happen, but I would think their goal would be just get that 2 seed from Memphis. You'll be pretty good. Right now, the 5 seed, you don't have a home court advantage in the first round. You have to go up against Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, which, I'm sure wouldn't be easy, but it's just interesting too. We talk about the West and hockey being turned upside down. I mean, look at the West, compared to what we're used to right now. Top 6 teams: Denver, Memphis, the Kings, Dallas, Phoenix, and the Clippers. I mean, that's we haven't seen that recently too much, those collection of teams. So I'm excited to see how it plays out, and if we get some last minute deals today. The other big deal yesterday, the Lakers reacquiring D'Angelo Russell. They drafted him way back when, I want to say 8 years ago at this point. But he comes back to Los Angeles, and Russell Westbrook is finally leaving LA. Headed to Utah, expected to be bought out, and then there'll be a market for him at that point on a minimum salary. Lakers also acquiring Malik Beasley and Jared Vanderbilt in the deal, also sending out Juan Toscano-Anderson, a guy, hadn't played too much, had been on the Warriors, as well as Damian Jones and a first-round pick. And then you got Mike Conley going to Minnesota. as well as Nikhil Alexander-Walker, and then the Jazz, receiving that first round pick, which is a top 4 protected, and then it's a second round pick if it's not in the top 4. So could end up being just a second round pick. So I think overall the Lakers, we talked about their struggles yesterday, 25-30. You look at Beasley, great outside shooter. Vanderbilt can D up, gives them some youth. And then D'Angelo Russell, and I understand D'Angelo Russell, isn't John Morant, for instance, but he's only 26. He's averaging 17.9 points per game, 6.2 assists, shooting 39% from 3-point range. So it gives him a point guard. You get Russ off the team. And, I'm not saying that this is going to make them, go to championship contender status, but I do think this really gives them a really good shot to at least get into the bottom of the playoff picture. And the biggest reason I think is Russ off the team, the controversy of the bad shots, and the fact that you get such a talent upgrade. D'Angelo Russell is going to, really lighten the burden for, LeBron and AD. Malik Beasley is also only 26, 13.4 points per game. Like I said, can shoot it well from 3-point range. And then you look at Jared Vanderbilt, a former first-round pick as well. A guy maybe, known more for his defense than offense, but I just feel like, adding that youth to the picture, I think is going to be very helpful for a team, that just needed, I think, younger players in defense. We saw how poor job they did on defense in that game against the Thunder. What are your thoughts, Tony? Do you think, like what I said, that this can at least get them into the bottom of that playoff picture?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think they were kind of making a push for that anyway, even with Westbrook. And with Russell off the team, again, I think it's just another example of a bad relationship between players and teammates and front office type of deal. It was time for Russ to certainly leave. And like you said, I mean, without him kind of just hucking up threes, I think it's going to give an opportunity for other players to maybe, actually score the ball. So I could definitely see this benefiting them, certainly.
Yeah. No, I think they have a serious team. And the way I look at it, I was trying to think record-wise, 25-30 now. So you think about that, 55 games. You got 27 left.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think you want to try to get to, around 44-38. I think that's enough to definitely be in the play-in and maybe be a 7th seed. We'll have to see. Jared Vanderbilt, too, only 23 years old, 8.3 points per game, 7.9 rebounds, was a second-round pick from Orlando in 2018. So a young guy to add to the mix. And I think, he'll be definitely helpful on defense and grabbing rebounds. So I love it. And I hope that we see the results, very soon. It's a shame, too, with this trade going down, all the technicalities with physicals and stuff. The Lakers actually play the Bucks, today. So there's no way that these guys are going to be active. So, but at least, Russ isn't on the team. So, but I think that's going to be a tough one right now. Milwaukee 6-point favorites on the road. Lakers desperately needing a win. So, maybe they get a heroic, effort out of LeBron and AD, who had some strong games before only having 13 last game. Will end up doing something. And one thing I wanted to ask you before we get to the final trade from yesterday, did you see the video of when LeBron broke the record? AD, everyone's up, and then AD's just sitting on the bench.
No, I should not see that.
Pull it up. Yeah, I think we haven't done a video breakdown in a while.
I don't think so, actually.
So AD during LeBron record or something. You're going to be like, are you kidding me? Because I know, let's see.
I don't want to show Jalen Rose.
No.
This is him. Unhappy reaction. Share this bad boy. As
Renee, the legend, with some donut in, maybe some water in the other hand, or a smoothie. I didn't know if you concocted a smoothie this morning.
Concocted?
Yeah.
No, just water.
All right, dude.
Let's see. Hopefully they show it good.
Show it well.
Right there. Anthony Davis was caught on.
Anthony Davis.
Anthony Davis. We can mute that, dude.
So, I mean, my initial thought, Tony, and maybe actually just
There
run
he
it
is
back
right
before,
there, dude.
run it back one more
You
time.
run it back? Run
Yeah.
it back, dude. So here we go. There's a shot. Bang! Right there. Everyone's cheering. Anthony Davis.
And then do the frontal view.
The frontal. And then he zooms in a little bit here, and he's just fucking.
So my thought here, and tell me if I'm wrong, and Chokri had a funny response to this. I'll get to in a second. But I just was like, I don't think it had anything to do with him, not, supporting LeBron or not liking LeBron. I think it had to do with the frustration of the game he was having.
Wow.
As well as the poor performance of the team the last couple of years. And then Chokri said to me, he's like, well, how could he be mad about the performance of the team? I mean, he can't even, get in the game half the time. He's always injured.
Brutal.
But those were my thoughts. And I'm just curious, you seeing that, Tony, do you think that there's, problem there, or is it the frustration over the wins and the losses?
Yeah, I think it's more the frustration with KD in general, with AD in general. I don't know, dude. I mean, you just look at him, obviously, I guess really not all the hype that he was kind of lived up to with the injuries and everything. And then, I'm sure in his head, like you were saying, he's thinking, like, all right, I mean, this is great for LeBron, but I mean, like, what are we really cheering about? I mean, they lost that game. They haven't really had a great season. It's yeah, dude.
So, but nothing negative you think in his mind about LeBron, or is there a little like, oh, he just like he cares about this, he doesn't even care if we win this game, like what are we doing?
I don't know. That's a good point, dude. But I feel like there hasn't really. I mean, they haven't really butted heads before, right?
I mean, we saw the videos him over for Taco Tuesday.
Yeah, so I feel like they have a good relationship.
Together.
Yeah, nothing really points to that, dude.
But obviously, a lot of people did mention like, oh, is there turmoil? But that's my guess on that. And if anybody wants to weigh in,
what do you think?
And let us know. No, I think it's just a frustration of the wins and losses, but we'll have to see. And then the other trade involving Michael, actually, Josh Hart going to the New York Knicks. And in return, the Portland Trail Blazers acquire Cam Reddish, Ryan Arcidiacono, I know I said it wrong, and Sevi McCulloch, the former Laker, as well as a protected 2023 first-round pick. If this doesn't fall in the lottery, it will turn into 4 future second-round picks. So you look at this, Josh Hart having a career year, went to Villanova, was actually teammates with Nick point guard Jalen Brunson when they won a championship, 27 years old, playing more than he ever has his entire career. Started with the Lakers, then went to New Orleans in the AD trade, and then has been in Portland in the last 2 years, but he's playing 33 minutes a game, and he's, 9.5 points per game, 8.2 rebounds. So for a guy that's 6'5", I mean, that's a really good rebounding rate. Traditionally has shot it better from 3-point range, struggling a little bit this year, only 30%, but I think he'll see an uptick on that. Can play defense well. Cam Reddish had fallen out of favor. I guess, I had thought, Thibs is kind of just a jackass. That's why he's not playing. But I heard, I guess, coaches just don't like his work ethic. So maybe that's a common thing. I mean, he wasn't playing a ton in Atlanta for a guy that was a first-round pick. So I get that. The other guys are marginal players that don't play. So nothing to really talk about there. And then, a lottery protected pick. If you're in the lottery, then you're fine. If not, I mean, I think this will help you. So I think overall, this is a good thing for the Knicks. I know it's not a blockbuster, but you're adding a piece that can play productive minutes for you. I don't see how that's a bad thing. He's only 27 years old, and he has chemistry with Brunson.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know, dude. I really don't see the Knicks going very far. Dude.
No, I'm not saying going very far, but I think, and I know Michael doesn't look at this because he's tired of it. He just wants to win a championship. I get that. But if you just think about the big picture here, Tony, I mean, other than that playoff series, that they won against the Celtics back in, like, I don't know, whatever year it was, 2013 even. I mean, haven't won one since, lost to the Hawks in that first round series. So at some point you do have to just go through stepping stones. I know we all want to win titles right away. But I do think there is something to be said. And, with RJ Barrett, if he could kind of, recover with his play the second half of this season, Julius has been playing great. We know about Brunson, and make the playoffs, at least have a competitive first round series, maybe pull an upset depending on what the matchup is. I think the matchup's very important. But I think there is something to be said about momentum. So I think you want to finish this year as well as possible and not, try to like tank. I mean, I don't know what what you think about that. But building before we get to Matthew.
I mean, I guess,
You have to build, no?
You got to build. You got to go through the stepping
Rome,
stones.
not in a day.
I suppose. Yes. Rome hasn't been built in one day. Everyone knows that. But I just feel like it's, at what point do you start to see like really any amount of success?
Right.
I mean, it's been I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like the Knicks have not been making great moves.
Brunson was a great move, though.
Yeah,
He's
Brunson was
year.
good.
Yeah.
But again, with other players out there, I mean, what are they trying? Like, what is their plan? Like, are they trying to like get young guys going and develop their team like that? Are they trying to like get pieces to trade to bring people in? Like,
they want a good collection. So I'm sure, and I think looking back at it, they would admit they should have just went harder after Donovan Mitchell. And I'm sure they'll be more aggressive this offseason, but they want RJ to be that guy. He's had a disappointing year this year, but there's still hope. He's young. So I think the hope is that he can, get better. And then if Julius is going to finish the year like this, they'll be able to trade him. That's for sure. Right now the Knicks are in 7th, 30 and 26. So it'll be interesting to see, if they make a last minute move today and how they finish the second half of this year. Let's update the comments though, because I know Matthew's been waiting for.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Since before we even started, he says to rip off the rip, big time show, big time fellas doing it. Rangers looking good, he says, and we're going to get to that. Yes. Matthew, don't worry. 49 episodes away from 500. That is crazy.
450
Brian.
Yesterday. We forgot to give a special shout out. Couldn't do it without all the fans.
Oh, obviously. Matthew likes Hart. Wish he stayed with the Lakers at the time. But now we hear from Michael, and he says, Josh Hart, Brian. Josh Hart. It was hard with Randall playing the same position. Screw him. Get him out of there. We're out of here. Hurting RJ and Obi's development.
One thing I would offer,
but I'm coming for blood, Michael.
I'm not coming for blood this time. But what I would offer there, and Matt's right. Hart is a great kind of core guy, but I do think that the question has to be asked. I know Michael's first thing with kind of this back and forth seesaw with the Knicks, win a couple, lose a couple, poor performance over the last couple of years. The target is Julius Randle. But sometimes I think you have to question, like, is more of the problem that maybe Obi and RJ aren't that good? I kind of feel like that's more the blame. I mean, look at what Julius Randle is producing this year. I know last year wasn't good. But that's my thing. I think at some point, we have to stop blaming, coaches and rotations and minutes. And I've always thought, no matter what sport we're talking about, that talent wins out. If you're good enough, if you have the horses, you're going to perform. I mean, look at the guys performing this year. Julius Randle leading the team in scoring, 24.7 points per game. 10.9 rebounds, 4.2 assists. Michael on the phone.
Michael,
let's hear it.
on the phone.
Brian, stop talking, please. I'm sorry, because you're so wrong. It's not even funny. Like, Coach Thibodeau is the worst fucking coach in Knicks history. I'll fucking take Isaiah Thomas over him, okay, any day of the week. You're telling me that Julius Randle isn't hurting RJ and Obi? Obi plays the same position, so how is that not hurting? And RJ and Julius play the same exact game. They're playing the same exact. How can RJ play with him on the court? It's impossible. And all the plays are run for Julius. Why are his stats so good? If I had every play run for me, I'd be in the NBA, Brian. I'd be in the NBA. So when plays are run for you and the coach wants to suck your jock strap, sure, you're going to be a fucking all-star. And it's not about talent at this point, because we've seen what RJ and Obi could do. I'm actually tight you made that point, because that's a wrong point right there. And the Knicks suck. Fucking KD going to the Suns is whack. All these crybabies in the NBA. I'm done with the NBA. I'm watching only overseas basketball from here on out until the Knicks get Mark Jackson.
Interesting. I mean, definitely. Definitely. I can at least give you the Mark Jackson point. I think that could be good. But all I'm saying is, and I get it, RJ's 22 years old. He can develop, but it's just, and he's averaging 20 points a game. That's fine. But I just feel like for the guy that was the 3rd overall pick, the guy that was picked right behind Zion and Ja, I mean, it's a completely different stratosphere we're talking about. And I don't know. I mean, I know playing time, systems, it all affects things. But just generally speaking, Tony, do you agree, though, if someone is really talented, capable of being a superstar, you see signs of it despite circumstances around it, and you could tell when you're looking at something special, when you're looking at an all-time great. No matter what we're talking about, just generally speaking.
I suppose generally speaking, yes. But obviously, you know, I haven't watched a lot of basketball, a lot of Nick basketball specifically. But I mean, hey, like to what Mike was saying, you know, if you have these young guys you're trying to develop and you're not, I guess, designing offenses or plays or anything around these players, you know, how do you expect them to feel comfortable, to kind of have opportunities to gain confidence, to then follow up that confidence with, you know, just overall improvement in their play? And that is something that's, you know, general for every sport as well, you know? So I can see what Mike is saying, because it's a shame because I've had, you know, from what I've heard on, you know, sports radio and ESPN and stuff like that, they are talking about how, you know, Obi isn't really a great player, that RJ isn't what he's kind of been chalked up to be. And if that is because they're being misused, then that falls on the coach, does it not?
Yeah, I just don't. Well, especially with RJ, for instance, you know, he's averaging 20 points a game. But I think one thing that he hasn't really improved since he's been in the league, and he's playing plenty of minutes, so it has nothing to do with that. Obi's a different case, but it's like his shooting isn't strong from the perimeter. And I think if he added that to his game and that could be more of a threat and it wasn't more just mid-range and driving, teams knowing that he could do that, I think he could be more effective. As it goes for Obi, you know, he's 24 years old already. He was the 8th overall pick back in 2020. And I know he hasn't got the minutes. I understand that. But I don't know. Maybe it's a fault of mine. And I know, you know, Michael, you know, not a fan of
The Jets of the NBA,
of Tom
he
Thibodeau.
says.
I mean, but I guess what I would say to that is, you know, what was the Knicks, you know, prior to, I guess I'm trying to think, the Mike Woodson era, or after the Mike Woodson era. I mean, what was the Knicks record then? I mean, think about all the coaches that they went through. He's at least, you know, had them respectable. So like, I think that's part of the stepping stone. And like I said, he's anxious. I get it. I mean, I'm freaking anxious for the Yankees. I mean, think about how much longer it's been for the Knicks. So I get that. But I just think it's like, I would say the comparison is, you know, Lafreniere and Kako, Tony. I mean, a couple of years in, they don't play all the time, but don't you think if Lafreniere was going to be a top 5 player in the league, we would know by now?
Yeah, but I think it's a little different in hockey, dude.
But I'm saying, like, I know he doesn't play all the time, but don't you think the reason that he doesn't play all the time is because of how good he is, not because other players are blocking his performance?
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I think it's different. I mean, I feel like, you know, I mean, you know, you watch hockey games. Like, I mean, Lafreniere does play well, like, to play a lot. I mean,
but not for a number 1 overall pick.
No,
I guess that's
no.
why I'm making the
not
comparison.
for a number 1 overall pick. Sure.
Picks.
That's because he isn't as good as I guess we thought he would be in terms of, you know, adapting to the style that of hockey that's played in the NHL. But I mean, you know, they give Kako and Lafreniere more than enough opportunity. And I mean, you know, with Gallant putting them on a line with Hedl, like having a kid line, I mean, they are still designing that stuff.
Anna Woodard, FaceTime video.
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
Is she on the sports port?
No, I don't think she wants to call into the sports port. Gosh. So what am I saying? Okay, yeah. So like Gallant like designed that third line, that kid line,
right,
for them to strive together, to be 3 young players, you know, all kind of on the same playing field, in terms of being new to professional hockey, being new to the Rangers, you know, being high draft picks too, being highly touted. And that's why you saw so much success with them in the playoffs last season too, because there were 3 guys who were totally new. They were all in the same exact situation, and he put them in an environment where they could thrive together, and they did. And again, I mean, I haven't watched a lot of Knicks basketball, but I'm sure, like, I mean, I know for a fact, you know, NBA doesn't have hockey like shifts like hockey where everyone gets like 2 minutes on the ice.
Rotations.
But
it's obviously longer stints.
Right.
Of course, yeah.
Right. But exactly. I mean, you can still be on the bench and play like, you know, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know?
Hockey's
like,
so weird. Like, I mean, let's see. So there's 60 minutes in the game. I mean, the top player gets ice time of what, a third of that?
Yeah, 20 minutes.
That's insane.
It
and
is
then you think about
insane.
it for the NBA, starters are playing 35 minutes, and what the game's 48 minutes.
Yeah, so it's different.
It is different. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I think that the issue is here. You know, you had a really a gem of a draft pick. The lottery didn't fall your way. If you had gotten Ja, like, just imagine how much all of this is. All of this is that's my thing here. It's like, you know, RJ's not elevating anybody, and you know, other than, you know, mid-range jumpers, driving, you know, he's not excelling in other areas. So it's like, for the third overall pick, like, you need more. He's playing plenty. You know, you look at his minutes, 34.9 minutes. He's getting the minutes. He has the 20 points, but the shooting percentage is 43%. The 3-point percentage is 32%. The line at 74.9% is okay. But I just think, you know, for the extension you gave him, that you would expect a little more. So it'll be interesting to see how they finish, and if this Hart deal helps, and just what the future direction is. I know they got some draft picks after trading out of the first round last year, so maybe they can couple those in a package. You know, I'm not hearing that they're going to do anything before the deadline, but you know, we'll see if anything comes to fruition, Tony. And who would have predicted that we would go 36 minutes straight to start the show on basketball?
I know, certainly not me. But hey,
like,
no, I mean, this is fun. Obviously, I mean, especially, trade deadline for really any sport, I mean, could be exciting. You know, if given, you know, if you know the storylines, which is exciting. I mean, we got Michael involved too. I love that.
Love getting him fired up too. Like,
Yeah,
he's fired up. Yeah.
I'm really glad. And honestly, dude, overseas basketball leagues, I think I could maybe get interested in watching some of that, dude.
See, that's where it's just like,
you can't do it.
I don't think I could do that.
How? I know Michael was telling me there's kind of like some rule differences in terms of, like, there is kind of goaltending in the league.
I don't even.
You don't know anything?
That.
I forgot what he said.
Line is different. It might be the same as college, but if I'm watching a different basketball league, I'm going to watch college. Like, I'm not watching
college
Euro ball. I don't know. I just
can't watch Euroball, dude.
It's tough for me. You know, I mean, I don't like the Premiership for soccer. I just
the soccer's kind of different. Dude.
It is different.
You can get a little excited for soccer.
The only thing I'll get excited for is, I think I still got to buy the game, but I think
FIFA?
a week from Monday we're gonna go FIFA. Hey, did you ever used to play FIFA a little bit?
No, that was Gino was a big FIFA guy. I played a couple times with him.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I'm terrible, but I feel like it is kind of, I don't know, just something different. I wouldn't mind doing it.
I think
for a gaming corner.
I think like I wouldn't mind. I mean, of course, I wouldn't mind doing it. Of course not. Especially with you guys. And I think the mechanics are a little similar to NHL.
Yeah.
You know? So it's cool. You know?
Before we switch, we have one more comment here.
Looks like we do from Prefer.
I'm back, fellas. Old Prefer is back. We didn't get Jay's comments either. I feel like we didn't give him a shout out.
Jay Bird says Mike sounds triggered. Did he do his yoga today? You can bet your ass he did his yoga today, Jay.
And it's all good conversation.
Oh, yes, of course.
But nice to have Prefer back. So any input from him, I'd love to hear his opinions on these trades and anything else in the world of sports. But now let's switch gears to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by Makar. He flattens Jordan's stall. Oh, my goodness. Gets the gun right back. Terrified and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliance from Igor Shesterkin. It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
And one other thing too, actually, for basketball, I forgot to mention. Jaylen Brown in that game, which was on ESPN with the Sixers, they did win, left the game facial fracture. So that's obviously a big blow out through the All-Star break.
Like an elbow,
he was just
to the
tracking
face?
down a rebound, elbow to the face. So and it said they're interested in trading Peyton Pritchard, or they were. A guy I've always been high on, but with this injury, they probably will rethink that. So that's kind of interesting. What did Prefer have to say?
Prefer says, your thoughts on the NHL Islanders refusing to wear the colorful jerseys, I believe for their Pride Night it was.
Oh, okay. I didn't see anything on that. I don't really know anything about it, honestly.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think it is kind of an interesting storyline when you get in terms of hockey this season, because you've been seeing as all these sports do, they have like whatever nights to celebrate, whatever, anything. And you have, some players, because of their either religious beliefs or just in general their opinions, not partaking in it. I think this is the second time actually we've seen a whole team not do it.
Ooh, a Canadian team, right? I forgot.
The
Flames?
The Rangers didn't wear their they had like an LGBTQ night or whatever. And they ended up, it was honestly kind of a weird situation the Rangers were in, because they had their night. And like they obviously, the Rangers schedule all this shit, like they know it's coming up or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they wear like honorary jerseys during warm-ups and whatnot. Rangers didn't do any of that on their LGBTQ night. And so, they had to release a statement, whatever. It was just it's stupid. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's up to these teams whether or not to partake in these things. We saw, I forget who, Provorov, I think, from the Flyers.
Okay.
Was one guy who just just him didn't want to partake in the LGBTQ because of religious beliefs. And Tortorella, like any good coach, is like, hey, like that's his belief. He's being his own man. I'll stand by that. And he didn't partake in with the jersey wearing, which is totally fine, dude. And it's not like he didn't reprimand him. He didn't sit him. It's just what he believes in, which is fine. I mean, I really don't think it should be that big of a storyline at this point. I mean, if the Islanders as an organization don't believe in certain things, I mean, they're not obligated to do anything.
Right. Exactly.
Like, no one has an obligation to do this. It's just like a nice thing or something to bring people's attention to, that you're under no obligation to partake in any given like night. I'm not going to get pissed off if the Rangers don't do Star Wars night every year. You don't have the, again, it's not your obligation. So
yeah, exactly. But Furlow's coming in hot though. It's never about.
I mean, he said it. Old Buffer is back, dude. He said it.
Where's the Rogers question?
Oh, dude.
But onto the ice, Tony.
Yeah.
The Rangers 4-3 over the Canucks yesterday. So taking care of business, setting the tone early with 2 goals in the first period, courtesy of Chris Kreider, his 21st, and Philip Hedl, once again, his 19th goal. I believe that's a career high for Philip, is it not, Tony?
It is, dude.
So that made it 2-0. Connor Garland, last 2.5 minutes of the first period, scores for Vancouver to make it 2-1. Laffy with his 8th to extend it to 3-1 to start off the second. And then Podkozin makes it 3-2. With a goal for Vancouver, which was actually assisted by former Ranger first-round draft pick JT Miller, having another nice year, his 28th assist of the year.
Like him.
On to the third, 3-2 lead, and Mika Zibanejad late in the third makes it 4-2 with just under 4 minutes left. And then actually, literally 11 seconds later, Peterson answers with his 22nd goal, making it 4-3. So gave you a little trepidation. You felt like the game was still up for grabs, but fortunately Rangers hold on 4-3, and it wasn't the trouncing, Tony, that we were hoping for.
No,
but at the end of the day, you get the win. So you start out this second half of the year on a good note, winning your first 2 games. You extend your record to 29-14. Nice to see. Zibanejad has been hot. Kreider get another one, and then Philip Hedl might be the hottest goal scorer in the league. I know he's amongst the league leaders, maybe the last month, handful of games, whatever you want to say. So he's right up there. And then, okay, maybe, Shesterkin, I know that goal was late, only a couple minutes left. Would you like to see him maybe hold him to 2, especially it's the Canucks?
Oh, yeah.
They just traded Horvath. But I don't think at the end of the day, like we were talking about yesterday, that you can have really too much discontent with a win here. With a big weekend coming up, and it's nice that the Rangers once again take care of business out of the All-Star break here.
Yeah, no, like you said, happy there's a win. A win is a win is a win is a win, Brian. But yeah, I mean, against a team like Vancouver, I think they let them hang around a little bit too much.
Exactly.
Watching this game, I mean, you look at Kreider's first goal. You had some phenomenal passing, from the defense up to Trocheck, I believe it was. Who again does a great job in kind of keeping his eyes on the goaltender, on Spencer Martin, not not making the goaltender think he's going to pass it. And last second, a nice backhander, like nice saucer pass right to Kreider in front of the net. I mean, that is just textbook beauty from your first line that you want to see.
And that was Kreider's like bread and butter last season. That's how he got all those goals.
Yeah, quite literally. And then, Heedle's goal was great. I mean, they just had so much pressure in front of the net. We had bodies behind the net. I think a puck kind of just pooped out in front of Heedle.
Pooped out?
Pooped out, dude.
Wow. You don't hear that too often.
Yeah, dude, people should start. You watch now. People are going to start saying that.
Oh, yeah.
Pooped out. Right in front of Heedle, who makes a little, nice little dangle, finds the back of the net. And you had great shifts like that from the entire team. Condra Miller did a great job. He had 3 assists last night on the first 3 goals the Rangers had. So he was in a lot of plays. You had, Lindgren blocking a lot of shots. Trouba, and I'm honestly interested to see how our poll question is doing about Trouba.
About being the captain?
Yeah. Because he, killed it last night. I think he had 2 assists as well. They were all, him and Miller were both +3 out on the ice.
75% yes.
Let's go. I'm telling you, dude, he kind of really matured into this role very quickly. He was put in a really tough place, and what they say about pressure, pressure makes diamonds. And I think that's kind of where we're getting a little bit with Trouba here now. He was also continued to lay hits last night. He was certainly a force out on the ice. You knew when he was out there. The Canucks certainly knew when he was out there too. He was someone who almost looked feared. And Lafreniere's goal is great. Honestly, in my opinion, I kind of felt bad for Trouba because it was a nice slap shot from Trouba. And Lafreniere, the puck was going to go in, but obviously Lafreniere, for insurance, like any player is going to do, instinctively, make sure like pushes it in. So that's why Lafreniere got that goal. And that was, one of the assists that Trouba got. But yeah, I think overall though, the Rangers, some nitpicky things I would say, keep it, letting the Canucks hang around too much. You did a great job with Peterson, that game of, holding him to just that 1 goal in the third period. I like to see actually how many shots he had. He only had 2 shots on goal. That was great. You held him to almost nothing. You held JT Miller to just 1 shot on goal. That's great as well. Your defense was really killing it. They really didn't have much pressure in front of Shesterkin, at least often, a lot of their shots, and you'll see it, by the defenseman. Bear had 3 shots. Shen had 3 shots. Stillman had 2 shots, because of the Canucks were kind of forced to, have perimeter play. They really were not able to get close to Shesterkin for the most part, I will say. So defense, great job there. I think Rangers only had like 21 shots on goal. I suppose the Canucks only had 25 too. So relatively low-ish in terms of total shots between both teams here. But 21 shots, I mean, the Rangers have to do a little better than that. And I think a big reason why they only had 21 shots, because they're doing that thing again where they were looking for the perfect pass, the perfect opportunity, and not just shooting the puck. I think it's because maybe in their heads they're thinking Vancouver isn't a great team. We can have these opportunities. Let's look for those perfect opportunities, which for me personally is not a great habit to get into. Just because when you're playing Carolina, when you're playing Boston, LA, Edmonton, you're not going to have those perfect opportunities. So let's try and get dirty goals. Let's try and get pucks on net here. I think that's what they kind of have to focus on a little bit more. I want to see 33 shots, 31 shots on goal here, not 21. And it was kind of, Brian, it's so frustrating when they're pushing down the ice and you're seeing, either Zibanejad or Panarin, on a winger, and they have room, they have space.
Panarin had that wide open goal. Did you see that yesterday?
And he fanned on it, dude. Even Trocheck had like a wide open one too, but it was kind of given to him kind of awkwardly. It was passed to him awkwardly, so he kind of like jumped, tried to shoot, fanned on it, whatever, dude. That happens, but stop looking for the extra pass on these sometimes.
And we saw them do that last year, and that kind of hurt them at times.
It's so frustrating, dude.
Yeah.
If you have time, if you have space, take the shot. Yeah. You have some guy cross ice. That guy crashed the net after your other guy takes the shot. Look for a rebound. That's how you're going to score against really good teams. And again, I understand Canucks, they were probably looking for those perfect opportunities, but don't get in that habit, dude.
And I know we still got a while to go.
Got a
lot of comments. I guess you could update us there.
Okay, so let's see, dude. We'll start off here with Jay Bird. Big Heedle fan. 6 games in a row with a goal here. I think he's on like an 8 or 9 game point streak.
Yeah, I mean, a complete bender. It's about time, and I look forward to him as a future building block.
Yeah, Jay Bird, big fan, dude. Big fan. Nifty NFT Company says, let's go fam, dude. Huge fans over there of us on Twitter. Mike's been really talking about it a lot.
Yeah, appreciate that.
You guys
Thanks for tuning in,
here.
guys.
Prefer
a little love affair with
Indigo. Love that, dude.
Prefer loves the drama. Prefer
loves the drama, dude. Loves the drama. That's all the comments.
It's all we got at the present moment, Tony. I guess to coin it properly, I guess as Matthew would say, we'll talk outside about that one. But what I was gonna get to, I know, like I was saying, there's still some time till the trade deadline, but I was a big proponent. They gotta add, and I'm just looking at the team. I'm looking at who I would want to give up, and I'm just concerned that, I mean, we were not really going to get anything good anyway. But when I look at everybody who played yesterday, who I would be pretty comfortable with moving, I mean, it's Blaze, it's Trocheck, it's Lafreniere, and I don't know, maybe Brennan Schneider, Harper. So I don't know what Trocheck is the only guy maybe you could get something decent for, and I don't know if you want to
get really decent shit for him, but I wouldn't do that, dude.
I don't know if you want to bring up the chemistry. So, but what I'm saying is, and we already talked about this yesterday, but I don't want to get like Patrick Kane or something and give up Kako. I'd rather take the chance with him that he can improve.
Right.
I don't think Kane is going to bring that much to the table. I really don't.
Honestly, it may be that the Rangers stay put. I mean, the few names you mentioned there, I mean, Trocheck, you're not giving up, I don't think. He's a great center. He's great on the first line with Panarin and Zibanejad. I mean, I really wouldn't give him up.
But you don't think Hedl should just be on the first line instead?
No.
He's performed better recently.
Keep him on the kid line, because then you get Lafreniere and Kako more involved, dude.
Would you trade him for JT Miller?
No.
Really?
Wait, Hedl for JT Miller?
No, not Hedl. Trocheck.
No.
Really? Is it a team chem thing more than a talent?
Well, all right. Let's look up JT's Miller stats. I understand.
18 goals, 28
What's
assists,
his win
46
percentage?
points.
Face-off percentage.
Do they show that on ESPN.com?
No, they don't, because they suck, dude.
Ah,
I know, dude. Why? I mean, he's a center. Like, why wouldn't you include win percentage?
right.
50%.
Okay.
50.2. I think Trocheck's probably about 53, 54%, maybe. But dude, last night he won 2 huge face-offs for us on a power play too. But I'm just saying, like, he's really good. JT Miller, I don't know, dude. I mean, he was already on the team, dude.
I guess it's like, but other than the face-offs though.
Yeah, 99 points last season was ridiculous for him.
Yes,
but that's not going to happen again, though, dude.
But I don't know, more assists on a better team, maybe some more goal opportunities.
I would love to have him, but I wouldn't do Trocheck.
I'm just concerned. I know, and I got to stop looking so far ahead, but I'm concerned about Trocheck's contract in the future. And I just, like, I want to make sure when the time comes to get rid of him that we're up ahead of the game. I mean, 14 goals, 21 assists,
35 points over 51 games, almost 55% win percentage on face-offs.
Yeah. So I mean, I think he's making 8.5. I mean, based on that salary alone, though, do you feel it was a good signing? Is he overpaid or underpaid?
I think it's a good signing. I mean, he's exactly what you needed for the Rangers to be, for what him to be. And I still think there's room for improvement for him. I mean, there's room for him to have better years. Last season, he had 51 points over 81 games with Carolina. I mean, he's gonna break that probably this season, if not hover around it. I don't know, dude. I think he could, like I said, kind of improve. He's already improving the Rangers team as a whole. I would certainly keep him. I understand the trepidation with the contract. It's 7 years, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's a long time, dude.
Like, I mean, at the minimum, I know it's ridiculous, but I would love to unload it this offseason.
That'd be crazy.
Just get out in front of it,
But no, I mean, I don't know. I think he's absolutely electric. He's a great passer. He's got great vision on the ice. He's a great skater, and I think he's pretty physical too. He's not afraid to get physical as a forward. I'd like to see actually how many hits he's got this season. Do they not show hits? 121 hits this season. JT Miller, 100 hits, dude.
Wow.
Think about that.
Interesting stuff.
I think they each played 51 games. Yeah. Looks like Trocheck takes more shots too. I think he's at 145. Miller's somewhere around 120, I think. 135. So, it's little things like that. I mean, I like my forwards to be physical. Trocheck is, I think, quicker than JT Miller, it seems, as well, from what I've seen. But, I mean, I don't know. That, honestly, is probably the most interesting trade you've maybe laid down here for hockey so far.
Yeah.
But the rest of the guys you mentioned, like Sammy Blaze and stuff, Sammy Blaze is a tough story because he's a young guy. I think he hurt his knee last season. Like, he was good. Looked like he could develop, but then that injury really killed him, and he hasn't really been the same yet. And then Harper, I mean, even Lafreniere, right? I mean, the only weight Lafreniere really carries is the fact that he was first overall pick.
Otherwise, would he even be on the team?
Otherwise, like, I mean, what are you going to really get for him, dude? Like, what are you going to get for these players that's really going to improve? Nothing. I say you double down on the guys you have. And honestly, right now, watching Jimmy Vesey last night, I know he hasn't had a lot of production in terms of goal scoring with the Rangers since he's been back on the team. But you give him like some time. I think he's going to be like quite the goal
What is he
scorer.
like? 27?
Yeah, 27 sounds about right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's nice to have. There's a nice collection.
It's 29
of talent.
Actually.
More young than old, really. When you
think about it. But Jimmy Vesey only 18 points so far this season. 9 goals, 9 assists. But you watched him play last night. He's a tremendous skater. Again, really high hockey IQ. Give him some time. I think, he can be like for future seasons, like a 25, 30 goal guy.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's definitely something to build upon. And we still have a while to go. So it's interesting though, but I guess, yeah, I mean, the Rangers keep winning. I could see, Chris Drury not wanting to mess with the team and, just rely on internal improvement. That might be, the best path forward here. So, we'll see, what they look like on Friday. And obviously we'll talk about that tomorrow. I actually did run a quick poll, with the back-to-back games, asking which team should Halak start against, Kraken or Hurricanes. Right now, only 4 votes in, very early. We've only had this up for 10 minutes, but 100% say the Kraken.
Really?
They recognize the strength of Carolina.
No, yeah. It would be interesting to do a little switcheroo, though, with Carolina,
And go Halak.
Go Halak.
I think Halak will get torched. He's due for a loss. He gave up a lot of goals last game. And I know
you say that every time, dude.
But Tony, he can't win every start for the rest of the season. I mean, you can at least acknowledge that. I mean, that's just not possible.
I mean, it's possible.
No, it's not.
Very unlikely, dude. Brian.
No, it is not. So small slate last night, just the Rangers game, and then the Wild lost to the Stars 4-1.
Dude.
What do you want me to say there? Here we go again. The Stars, they're so great. They're gonna win the Stanley Cup, Tony. What do you want me to say? Honestly.
I mean, you just said it, dude.
But I don't know. Could you give me a serious answer though to what you are forecasting for like the end of the season for them? What do you see as like their minimum of where they're going to get like into the playoffs?
I can see them honestly Western Conference Final.
Okay, but you don't see them making the Stanley Cup.
I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean,
but unlikely.
Yeah, I think it's a little unlikely.
So it'll be interesting to see if they add anybody. The rest of the way as well. How about this too for Halak? I have to say, I mean, before the 4 goals last game, he had allowed 1, 1, 1, 3, and 3. I mean, that's a pretty good stretch, but Vegas, Columbus, Montreal, Florida. So we'll have to see. But on to the slate to tonight. I want to say we have 6 games. I know you were poking fun at me yesterday saying every game is crazy. And I didn't mean it that way, but I just thought interesting matchups. And I think you kind of acknowledged that there's some good hockey to be played tonight, no?
Yeah, no, great hockey to be played tonight.
So let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, okay. So we can go 3 games apiece, and the floor is yours, sir.
Certainly, dude. I mean, we're talking about the Kraken, so I'll go with that game. They are playing the Devils in the Prudential Center tonight, 7:00. Devils here minus 155, which is pretty interesting, honestly. Because I feel like they should be like Jack Hughes day may not play.
Ooh.
But even so, I mean, I think their defense is okay. And I think, leaning on Vitek Vanacek, I mean, I guess we really should have daily face-off in here, dude.
What are we doing? Come on.
Not only starting goalies, but lineup combinations here. Let's come down here. Everyone's unconfirmed. Line combos. Let's get a little in depth here, dude. I mean, Jack Hughes is in there. Obviously, he probably hasn't been updated with his day-to-day status, but typical, NHL player day-to-day, just absolutely just grinds it out, dude. Don't worry about it. Give me the Devils here. Dawson Mercer, dude. I think 15th overall pick of the 2020 NHL draft. He's honestly probably one of my favorite players on the Devils right now. He's a great center. Give me 2 goals and an assist by him tonight. If Jack Hughes ends up playing, actually, let's just pretend he's not even playing. Dougie Hamilton, maybe 2 assists from him as well. And I say Devils win this one. I don't know, 5-3.
Interesting. So the slide for the Kraken continues on the heels of their game tomorrow at the Garden, or no? Or is it in Seattle?
I think it's in Seattle. I could be wrong, though. Tomorrow at the Garden. Dude.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I don't think they would.
Oh, yeah, we did talk about that, dude.
So, yeah, I like that one. And by the way, you picked up one with the Rangers yesterday. I did not. 32-27. So still
slowly,
a chance, Tony.
Dude.
Still a chance. Last picks will be tomorrow for that. Otherwise, the golf will be on you, sir. But that being said, to start it off, I'm going to go to a place that I usually go. Give me the Oilers over the Flyers. Minus 190 here. And I know the Flyers have played, decent competitive hockey. I think Torts is getting the most out of that group as he can. No one was expecting them, to be a top seed in the Eastern Conference. You look at the last 5 games, Edmonton's won 4 out of 5. Philly's actually lost 4 out of 5. The only win, coincidentally enough, was at Winnipeg, and then lost the other games. But I just think offensively speaking, we know Edmonton every game. It's 4 goals, 5 goals, 6 goals, 7 goals. I just don't think the Flyers can keep up with that. And the Edmonton might allow a few themselves. So I think, though, this is a good game where you want to consider, taking the over-under as well. And I don't know why I don't see that on here, but I would imagine I'm going to say it's 6.5. But anyway, I'm going to say, give me Edmonton here 5-2 over the Flyers. So if you want to sprinkle a little bit on that minus 1.5, being the heavy favorites at minus 190, and Connor McDavid, the chase to 60 goals continues. 41 goals this season and 52 assists. What a year he's having. The good times continue in Edmonton, Tony.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually surprised. I don't see an over-under here either, dude. It's weird.
Maybe the line's not out yet.
Yeah, maybe.
I can find it. But also the NFT company says, thanks for the shout out. Love you all. Have a blessed day.
Dude. You
love
too,
it.
man.
We love you.
Positivity. Love it. We love you. All right, dude. Enough with the lines of the Edmonton.
No, I want to hear that. Actually,
what do you got?
What's your guess on the total? What is it? Usually we're either 5.5, 6, 6.5.
I'll say 6.
6.5.
Fuck.
It's gonna go over. 5-2 is over. So let's go.
5-2 is over, dude. First time those two players or those two teams are facing each other, actually. But you never know, dude. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever, dude. I'm going. My next game. I'm actually surprised you missed this game, dude. Honestly, that was gonna be your next pick.
Sharks.
No, stop it, dude. We're staying in the Northeast. We're actually staying in the tri-state area for this next game, as the Islanders are hosting the Canucks, dude. Bo Horvat playing his old team. Anthony Beauvillier.
I was worried about the emotions getting the best of Horvat.
No way, dude. No way. This guy's an ice cold killer, dude. Already found the back of the net, I think, once now as an Islander, helping Barzal score a couple goals as well. You got to appreciate that. And I think, maybe a Beauvillier tribute video there for the Islanders. And then when we go to Vancouver, they'll have the Bo Horvat one, I'm sure. I
still am, honestly, I understand it didn't end on the best terms. I'm still shocked there was no Torch tribute video, honestly. I swear to God. I feel like he's a legend.
Yeah, dude. Anyway, dude, Bo Horvat, give me the hat trick. Why not? Barzal, another 2 goals. Islanders win this one 5-1.
Wait, but Torch was the coach to go to the finals, or was that Vigneault?
The finals against
Was
the
Vigneault.
Kings was no against the Kings was Torts.
It was Torts.
Way back when.
Okay,
in
so
2013
Vigneault,
or
we're
14,
better.
whatever it was.
And then we win the President's Cup, but we don't get to the Stanley Cup Finals.
Right,
That's
right,
what it
yeah,
was.
yeah.
Okay. I have to say, a long time ago, but I remember, and I didn't understand it, didn't like hockey at the time, but Matthew was pretty beat up about
Dude, it was
that
a crazy
one.
time, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he was fully set on, this is
Yeah.
our year, we're going to win the Cup, and I
know.
was like, I mean, baseball season, like, what are you worried about here? Like,
Oh,
we're thinking about the
God,
Yankees,
dude,
and I didn't
no.
understand.
No, dude.
Now I get it. Last year I felt that pain myself. But anyway, Tony, I'm gonna go with
Sharks.
Lightning over the Avalanche. They have looked atrocious, ferocious, whatever you want to say. Last two games, no offense, giving up 7 goals to the Panthers. They're playing the Avalanche, obviously rematch of the Stanley Cup Finals last season. And it's really what I'm basing this on is just rebounding, their strong play at home, and just showing. I mean, there's a reason why they're 32-16. I don't think the last 2 games are indicative of, what they're going to do the rest of this season. Very strong at home as well. Colorado's been really hot, dealing with some injuries, nobody, too notable, but obviously that always affects you a little bit. So they have won 3 out of 5 and Tampa has won 3 out of 5 as well. But like I said, losing the last 2 games. So I think this is gonna be a close one, an overtime game. And actually both teams had overtime games last time they were out on the ice. So I'm gonna say 3-2. Braden Point, who's having a nice year, 31 goals. Guy, I feel like never gets any, I don't know, we don't talk about it too much, but he's having a really nice year. Game winner in overtime, 3-2, Lightning at home over the Avalanche.
All right, my next game, we're actually going to be going to Florida, okay? I'm going to take the Panthers tonight against San Jose. I know what you're thinking, Brian.
Carlson.
Timo Meyer.
No, just
Carlson. Timo Meyer has been killing it, upping his trade value. And you know about Eric Carlson, but Florida.
Jay Bird, I guess, went to the bathroom for a sec. He says, "What about Devils versus Kraken?"
Kraken?
Tony's pick, Jay.
I
missed
picked the Devils. Dawson Mercer, 2 goals and an assist.
Dawson Mercer,
Doogie Hamilton with 2 assists. I think I said, or goal and 2 assists. Doesn't matter, dude.
So what were you saying about Florida?
Florida, dude. So Florida, both teams on a little bit of a 2-game hot streak here. San Jose beat Pittsburgh 6-4, Tampa Bay 4-3 in overtime. You look at Florida. Okay, they beat Boston 4-3 in overtime, and they beat Tampa Bay 7-1. So they've been scoring pretty well. The last time these two teams faced was way back in early November. I think the 3rd, November 3rd. Right, December 11th, yeah, November 3rd. Panthers won 4-3 in a shootout. Very different Florida team back then. They were not scoring very well. Nowadays, they are scoring. Bobrovsky, in between the pipes has been absolutely lights out as of recently for Florida. Excuse me. I understand the record may not show it right now. 13-13-2. 1 shutout, 317 goals against, 900 save percentage. He's been kind of lowering that goals against average, upping that save percentage surely but slowly. So Bobrovsky, I think that stat line not indicative of how well he's been playing recently. So you absolutely love to see that. I wonder if they have like a nice in his last 5 games sort of deal. 970 save percentage against Tampa Bay. Montreal didn't. 966 against Buffalo. Dude, he's been doing well. So give me here, Florida. 3-1.
All right. For my pick here, I am going to go with the Vegas Knights over the Wild. Coming off a back-to-back game here, and I know Vegas been struggling. Only won 1 of their previous 5 games. They've been on the road for a while. The previous 5 games on the road. But I think the back-to-back is tough. And I think it's like there's going to be a switch turned on here. Vegas is not going to slide in and barely make the playoffs as like a 7 seed. I think they're going to turn it up a notch here. Chandler Stevenson, Jack Eichel, time to go. Logan Thompson, play like the way that he was earlier this year. So give me Vegas here on the road. The dog here. Give me Vegas here. 4-3 in regulation. Jack Eichel, 2 goals, including the go-ahead with 2 minutes left. So that leaves us 1 game left on the docket. Tony.
Oh, dude, you want to do it?
Yeah. I want to give you the opportunity here. Your selection, sir. I think I know where you're going to go, but Flames or Red Wings? Who you got? I'll take the opposite.
I know it's a tough pick, dude. Let's look at this team here. First time they're playing each other actually all season. We know the Flames just lost to the Rangers most recently. Detroit kind of on a little bit of a schneid. Oh, dude, this is close game here. Detroit at home, Calgary on the road, dude. First game since Monday. Damn, dude. All right, give me Dylan Larkin. Give me the Red Wings. I'll do it.
I knew it.
I'll do it.
I knew it.
I know you knew it.
I knew you were.
And I knew you knew that I knew that you knew it. So I picked them anyway.
All right, I'll take the Flames. And listen, the Flames, haven't had really a great year, but I think they're better than Detroit. Detroit, I don't know what they need to do, but I kind of think we need to be bold. I think they do need to be bold. Maybe trade Larkin. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know. But I want to see them, Tony. Kopitar, Tony. No, but I want to see them return to the Dominik Hasek days when they were winning the Stanley Cup. Right now, pretty far away from that. So I'm happy to take the Flames here and be interested to see Huberdeau, Kadri, if they can turn it on second half of the season.
Throw a couple shekels up there. Could be a nice payday.
As Buffer continues with the drama, his favorite.
You want to know about it?
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Michael Irvin polled from NFL Network Super Bowl coverage after a woman lodges a complaint against him.
It's one of those.
Did you hear about it? I only read a headline.
I just heard a quick blurb. I don't know this exact scenario. And I think it's just like anything when there's allegations. Everybody wants to do the right thing. Everybody wants to, be, politically correct, whatever. So it's like, I think it's one of those things where NFL Network, they don't know the true story. They need to do some investigating. So the easiest, non-controversial way is to temporarily suspend him, get to the bottom of it. If it ends up being that he didn't have anything wrongdoing, they'll put him back. If not, we know how it works. I mean, that's always the only way to properly handle it, I feel.
Yeah. Innocent until proven guilty. Am I right?
Exactly. Very good there. So, we'll have to see, what happens there. But yeah, so nice slate of hockey here.
Great slate
with the 7 games. And I just wanted to see, that frost delay was extended slightly, but we are finally underway. So just want to see at least if, a couple guys have completed a hole or two just to give anybody anything here. But I guess officially, we don't have anybody with a number on the board just yet,
dude.
So we'll have to revisit this tomorrow. And I'm trying to think 8:00. Or actually no, 9:12 Mountain Time. That's how it is in Scottsdale. So I guess they should have enough time to finish everything today. I would think, maybe we'll need to we'll need to finish round 1 at the early stages of tomorrow. But we actually have one guy who's officially completed the first hole, Scott Piercy, with a par on number 1. And then the nifty NFT company says, I know this is a
few days old, but what are your thoughts on D'Amico Ryan being named Houston Texans head coach?
Yeah, so I think, we talked about this briefly, but you look at it, I mean, the pedigrees of players outstanding, all pro linebacker, Brian Cushing, JJ Watt days. So he knows defense, he knows how to lead out in the field. The body of work that he had with the Niners the last couple of years, took over for Robert Saleh when he took the Jets job. Their defense has been great. Obviously, he's going to be working with different personnel in Houston. But he does, and I don't, I'm not close to the situation. I don't know him specifically. As Adam Long, Birdie's number 1, to take a little lead here at the Waste Management.
Love that, dude.
But, from what you could tell without being close to the situation, and I feel like you probably agree with me, Tony, he seems like a guy that's going to lead well.
Yes.
And if he's given the right pieces, he has the right coaches around him, I think he can be the head of a rebuilding effort here in Houston.
Which is exactly what they need.
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's been tough times since the Deshaun Watson saga. And ever since they blew that lead in the divisional round to the Kansas City Chiefs, a few years back. But so we'll update everybody on Phoenix Open tomorrow.
We can stay on all day. Just give a lot of updates.
We could stay on all day, but I think there's some other things in the cards today, Tony. And I did want to actually just touch on one other thing here. I know we don't talk too much college basketball.
Hey.
But we did have Providence picking up the victory last night over Georgetown. So, Providence has played well here in the recent going. So the final score here, 74-62. So Providence now sits at 18-6, which is a strong overall record. And as far as the Big East standings, they're one game behind Xavier and Marquette, tied with Creighton for second place at 10-3. So really having a good year. Another great coaching job by Ed Cooley. UConn 8-6 in the Big East here. So technically, I guess tied for what would be fifth with Seton Hall at 8-6. We know about the hot start with them. They slid by Georgetown last Saturday. And then on Tuesday, won 87-72. So it'll be interesting to see with UConn too. Is this where they kind of, teeter in conference play and then really turn it up for the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament? We'll see, but it would be something to see UConn and Providence in that Big East championship game and making deep runs into the NCAA tournament. All I can tell you is I am pumped, Tony, for March Madness. We talked about it before the show. And I just think it's always just such a fun time. The storylines, the stars, you just don't see it coming, and it's always great. So we're looking forward to that, and we'll keep an eye on those two teams as we get closer to the end of the regular season. But other than that, Tony, as we come to a close here, anything else on the tip of your tongue?
On the way out of here, dude? No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. Let's
What
go
a
Red
day, what a
Wings,
life.
dude. Let's go Red Wings.
Let's go Red Wings. Looking to get the golf. But really appreciate a lot of interaction today. So all of our commenters.
Oh, yeah. Dude.
Michael with the call in.
Love the
and
interaction.
I hope he's not still heated about the Knicks. I was just giving it my best shot, Michael. That's all I can say. But once again, really appreciate everybody tuning in, continuing to comment, like, and subscribe. Checking out the archives on the YouTube page, Tony, Michael, Renee, and Costume, as well as the merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy their day, enjoy the games. Let's go Flames, Tony. And we will see you.
Motor City, dude.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do. Thanks again.